Hey everyone, welcome back to Fruits Basket Podcast. I'm Q Anime, your host, and my awesome co-host is Francesca.
Hello.
And
Oh, sorry.
yes, so you're good. That way they know how you sound. So we're gonna go over episodes 9 and 10. And oh my goodness, so much happened. But before we do that, so we can have a little bit of fun, we're gonna do a little bit of a game of Would You Rather Fruits Basket Edition. We're just gonna discuss some of these I don't really know still of Would You Rather's, so that I'm asking myself. But anyway, so I came up with some fun ones like let's see, would you rather go shopping with Haru or Aya?
Um, I think. Probably Haru because I have a little bit more of his style than I have Ayame's. Ayame is much more frilly and stuff, and I mean, I'm not punk
Yeah,
or anything, but like I feel like Haru would go to Hot Topic, and that's fun.
yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like Haru. I feel like you just take me to Hot Topic and I can buy some stuff there, but I'm not as
Yeah, and I also hate trying on clothes, and I feel like Ayame
yeah.
would make me try on a bunch of clothes, and I hate that so
Yeah,
much.
that was a funny one I came up with. And then there was another one. Would you rather have Ritsu or Kagura as a roommate?
I think Kagura because Kagura, I really like her personality when she's not freaking out, and honestly, like I feel like the later you get into the series, the more chill she is, and she's also mostly that way with Kyo. She's not, you never see her that way with like other characters as much. So I feel like I would actually get along with Kagura. Just I probably just have to do with an outburst and every now and then, but like I don't. She's never physically hurt anybody else besides Kyo.
Yeah, true.
So like I'm not that scared of her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Kagura too, just because of the fact that it's only when she like gets really angry that she would
Yeah.
destroy something. Where Ritsu's just a klutz. Like I love Ritsu though, but
Yeah, Ritsu would be too loud for me. Like I really like Ritsu. He's a terrible bean, but like I couldn't deal with his energy.
would you rather be Hattori's assistant or Shigure's editor?
I think
And
that
I feel like this Hattori because Shigure would torture you as your editor. Like,
yeah, I was like, I don't think this. I'm pretty sure this is no brainer. It's got to be Hattori. Like I don't know anything about medicine, but like I don't know. I'll get him his coffee or something at least. I don't want to be Sugar's editor. If I'm his assistant, do I then have to fall in love with him and then lose my memory?
yeah.
Wait, really?
I said Hattori if he doesn't catch the feels. Like,
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I was like, wait, what?
no, that's my thinking. I'm like, I would do Hattori if he don't catch the feels. I don't think he would do that again. So,
Yeah.
but then the last one I have, it's kind of funny. Just because I've been thinking about. So, well, now we know that Corona has a cell phone, but you know how his computer thing is. So I said, would you rather have Corono's email address or Monabe's phone number?
I would definitely go with Wanabe Kakaru because I he's the character I think him and Machi both I identify with in different ways. The most like I'm most similar to those two, but in different ways. Um, and I feel like I mean I really like Kurino, but I just don't think we would like get along that well. Like I don't think we have too much in common. We wouldn't really be able to talk about anything. Like I feel like I would just have a fun time texting Kakaru and like sharing
I was
memes.
thinking the same. I was like, I would like to talk to Corona and have it. He's nice, but I feel like Monabe would send random crap like all the time and be really funny.
Yeah, and I'm like a huge, I'm like a huge stan of his, and I like Kurno, and I know a lot of people who
Oh,
stan him, but like he's not my favorite Zodiac.
all right. Well, that was fun. So now we'll get into episode 9, which was titled "My Precious," which don't get that confused with Lord of the Rings there, but
Yeah, we'll call him.
yeah. So the very beginning, like we get actually a little snippet of like Kyo, and he just like all of a sudden just says like deepest lines at the very beginning.
I know, it's so cute.
And he just says about like how Toru, like whenever she says his name, it sounds special, and like when did that start, and what else? Oh, he does silly things just to make her smile, and it's yeah. So I liked how the beginning was just like it kind of warns you, here come the feels, just because Kyo's lines.
I know. You're like, oh my god. He's like, when did this happen? I'm like, oh my god, you're in love.
Yep, pretty much. But then we get kind of a little recap where Toru's talking about Rin and the rooster. Maybe she's thinking it could be Akito, but Shigure comes into the summer house and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I forgot something. Yeah, I forgot Kyo." And Kyo and Toru are like, "What?" And he's like, "Ooh, you guys are in sync."
Yeah, they really are. They share a brain cell.
And first Kyo's like gonna like rebuttal about it, but then Toru's like, "Oh, that's so great," and she's so happy because the cat got
Hmm.
invited. So Kyo's like,
Yeah.
"Dang, now I have to go," pretty much, and he does a little head thing to her, like where he bops her on the head.
No. It's so cute. And I really like the scene too because it just gives insight into how Toru really does not understand like how severe it is. Like the fact that she's happy that he's gonna go see Akito, it's like, oh honey, if only you knew.
Yeah, but oh, and also I liked where Shigure, I forget what Shigure said, but Kyo like snaps back at him, and
Yeah, he said you're only nice to Toru.
yeah. But then they finally go to the annex, and Yuki's there, and Yuki's like, "Oh, so Akito called Kyo," and they're like, "Yeah," and he's in this room, and but then Kyo brings up like, "What are you guys doing? It's just like New Year's," which was a great reference to first season, and when you like left her alone.
Mm. Yeah. And it's almost like I remember reading the manga at this point, and I was like, because this is before we'll get to it, but like before the big reveal next episode, and I was like, yeah, what you guys just do whatever Akito says, huh? Why don't you just hang out with Toru? And it's like I feel like Kyo in that scene. I was like, Toru's all alone, go hang out with her, but like it's not that simple.
And then Yuki kind of brings that up a little. He says like, "Well, then why are you here? Like, you can't go against Akito either." And kind of
Mm.
arrogant and being arrogant, and then Kyo almost punches Yuki, and of course Yuki doesn't even flinch, and it was like some people were like so surprised by that, and I'm like, oh, he's done that before.
Yeah,
Like,
Valentine's episode.
yeah, exactly. Yuki said something along the lines of like how how they're supposed to be.
Yeah, they're all just they have to be under subservient to Akito, and that's how it's supposed to be.
And he warns him like, don't get mad at Akito, don't lash out. But then Akito is in the room, and Kyo comes in, and Akito is like, "Oh, hello, my monster," or whatever. Again, go back to Toru real quick, and she's just like thinking about how Kyo's over there now, and she's hoping that they're having a good time, and he'll come back happy. And again,
I know, it's like, oh, you poor sweet summer child.
and then all of a sudden it goes back to Akito, and they talk about the bet they've made, which was
Hmm.
finally revealed. And he's like, "You're never gonna win this bet," and a flashback, which was a great transition, by the way. The flashback.
Yeah, like the color shift and everything. Really, it gave me like JoJo's vibes with the color shift.
The bet was if he could beat Yuki, then he'll be invited into the Zodiacs. But if not, he's gonna be imprisoned for life, like all the other cats have been before him.
Like, why would Kyo take that bet? Like there's such high stakes, but you gotta realize that Kyo was gonna get locked up
Mm-hmm.
either way. Just like the previous cat, it's just Akito was kind of being cruel and giving this glimmer of hope that we know is like there's a chance that he'll beat him, but like from like the odds were stacked against him from the beginning. It's almost like Akito was like uh just torturing him with like freedom is so close in his grasp, but he can't grab it.
Yeah, which kind of goes back to like when we were talking about like why wasn't he already locked up? So
Yeah, it's like a form of psychological torture almost.
yep. But then so Akito's like saying you'll never win, and then Kyo's like, how do you know? I still have time. And then of course Akito gets angry and throws like a wind chime at him.
Yeah, and how casual he just throws it. It made me so mad. I don't know, like that specifically. Like, don't. like it's almost like other anime, there's all this blood and gore and stuff, and like it's so over the top that you can kind of disconnect from the violence when you're watching it. But just watching him like throw crap at Kyo for no reason, it just made me mad. You know what I mean? Like it felt like real, and I think that's what made it worse.
Yeah.
Just belittling him.
I also liked how this episode, most of it happened in like Akito's room, but yet it felt like I don't know how it just like it was all in one room almost kind of feel, but like it was tension because
Yeah, they were able to keep us engaged. Like it's like not much was happening visually. It was just very engaging, like with the dialogue.
yeah. But then Akito comes in with the whole "you're a monster" speech again, and he starts saying how Kyo killed his mother, and Kyo's like, "That's not true," and he's like, "Yeah, it's true." And Kyo has flashbacks of his dad telling him it's his fault, and I wanted to say how like in the anime it looked like Kyo was there when like his mom jumped in front of the train, but like in the manga, it's never really showed that he was there. So I thought that was kind of interesting that like because if he was there and he saw his mom jump,
Yeah, I think it's just a visual metaphor too, because
yeah,
they used the same thing with the dad, but they probably weren't. If anybody was there, and I'm doubting anybody was, it's not likely that they were both there, but they used the same image for both of them.
Then Akito goes into saying how Kyo should have died instead, and oh my gosh, when that part happened, like
And
the visual of the like I would say their chains like up around Kyo. I actually liked that. That was like
yeah, the visual representation of like
yeah,
the
that
curse.
was really cool. I actually was okay with that. So eventually when Kyo's just like stop and he like yells and falls to his knees and I'm like, poor Kyo.
You know,
But
oh my gosh, I just wanted to protect him, man.
yes. Akito continues with well, he lets go of Kyo's hand and he's like, well, I think the one who's making you so delusional is Toru Honda. And starts talking about how when Toru saw his true form, she should have ran away,
Yeah.
like a normal person would. How she's too perfect, and then Akito calls Toru a monster, and that
Yeah.
gets Kyo mad.
She's somehow too perfect when Kyo knows that she's not perfect and that she wasn't just like unfazed by his true form. She was scared.
And so Kyo like starts saying, yeah, pretty much that, how she was actually scared. You weren't there. Like, how do you know that kind of thing? And then like while he's like yelling that, and he realizes pretty much why she was staying with him was because he would have not come back to anyone,
Yeah. Did you see my tweet I made about that?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I might be wrong, obviously, but I'm pretty sure they've made a lot of subtle hints about Kyo being suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
Most of his dialogue when he's in a very distressed state, it's about how he shouldn't be alive. He said his mom should have killed him.
Yeah.
He should have died instead, and how his life isn't worth anything because he was sacrificed for another.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes back around whenever he says, I would have never come back if Toru didn't come get me.
Yeah, I completely agree with the whole he had suicidal thoughts kind of thing. Even just the way he would always run away, at the beginning. How he barely has anything in his room. It just seems like he always disappear,
Yeah. He's like designed like his fate, I guess.
Yeah, because he knows that later on he's probably gonna be locked up anyway. So yeah, poor Kyo. Anyway,
No.
but let's see, where was I?
Get to where he finally says,
Yes.
yeah.
So this is the part I actually cried.
Oh, I know, it was so good.
Because he starts saying how like, doesn't Toru feel like she's wasting her time with me, or like, and like how she's always happy, and then it talks about the traveler, which again another great reference to season 1. And that's when he finally says that he loves her for who she is. I'm just like,
it was so beautiful, man. Like he's realizing like this like he's in this horrible situation, but he still loves her. I don't know, it's so good.
Yes. And so that's when it was like when they were showing like flashes of Toru and like of him like thinking of Toru, and I was like, dang, he really does love her. I started
I
crying.
know.
Because you could just see how much he did. Like, but of course, then he's like starts crying because he realizes, and Akito's like, "Why are you crying?" And then
Hmm.
Akito is like, "Are you in love?" So that'd be great. Two monsters in love, and
Yeah.
uh,
I actually posted a meme about that. It was so bad, but I posted a meme. It was Lord Farquaad being like, the ogre has fallen in love with the princess. I was like, Akito be like.
that's great. I didn't see that one.
Oh man, sorry. It was such a serious scene, and I just
It's okay. I do that too. Like I make such a serious. That's one of my weaknesses. Is I'll like it'll be a serious moment, and I'm like, I'll start making a
yeah, just laughing the pain away.
exactly. But yeah, Akito starts like slapping Kyo, and it's like, "You crazy?" I don't know, and
And let me just say, these are some weak slaps compared to
I
later.
I know that's what I thought, but Kyo, because they're weak, like stops Akito, and it's like he's like, "Well, why did you let her stay with us?" Which is a good question. Could have erased her memories, you know. And that's when he starts to realize that they're using Toru, and he doesn't know why.
Yeah, kind of
So
funny because didn't Yuki say they were using her in like episode 2 or something, and
yeah,
Kyo's just not figuring it out. Sorry, I don't know why I find that kind of. It's a serious scene, but I kind of find it kind of funny that Yuki got it like right away.
I mean, he was suspicious of it. Like, yeah, episode 2.
I think that Yuki's just more perceptive to that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. But once he realizes that, um, he starts to say, "Oh no, I don't love Toru. You know, how could I love anyone?
Hmm.
Like, I don't deserve love." And
It's like protecting her from
yeah,
Akito.
so that Akito doesn't think that he likes her, and also just to it also kind of hurts because in a way he does kind of believe that I think, because he's like, "Oh, I'm a monster. Like, why do I?" You know, in a way he kind of believes that, even though he was in
Yeah.
order to protect Toru. So.
Hmm.
And then Akito's like, "Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, you can't love anyone. You're gonna be like confined forever. And don't worry though, I love you."
No, this constant like, breaking people down, and then that they're broken down, they only need me
Mm,
from Akito, like constantly again and again, always jealous of the others having relationships with people that aren't him,
mm,
stuff like that.
exactly. And but after that, we get like a tiny scene where Akito is like washing his hands because he touched Kyo.
No, that made me. I actually remember that in the
Me
manga.
too.
When I read it, and I read this a few years ago, but I remember it vividly being so mad that Akito like thinks so lowly of Kyo, and like he really just said all this stuff about "I love you, Kyo. I actually love you," and then he's gonna go wash his hands as soon as Kyo leaves. It made me so mad.
I was just yeah, I was really mad, and I've seen so many reactors be like, "What the heck?" about that part.
It just made me really mad that Akito left the water on.
Yeah.
I'm like Akito. That's such an Akito thing to do too.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Leave the water running.
Yuki saves the water. Turns out,
Yeah.
but yeah, he just asks Yuki if Kyo. He's like Kyo hates Toru. Is that true? And Yuki's like probably. And yeah, then he walks out, leaves the water on, and Yuki turns off the water, and he's like, no, like Kyo wouldn't hate Toru.
Yeah. It's like so obvious to pretty much everybody, but like Kyo and Toru, like they don't realize how obvious it is that Kyo likes her.
Yeah. But then we do get a little bit of Kyo walking back, and the things that Akito says is getting to him, like how he should be dead, and again those kind of suicidal thoughts come up again.
Hmm.
But he goes to the house and he's looking for Toru, and he's like, "Why do I keep looking for her?" But then he has a flashback of Kazuma, which
Hmm.
was really a powerful flashback.
I feel like even
Uh,
more so once you find out the full context of the flashback.
yeah, and it kind of was talking about not trampling on this. It was like a flower was what they used as an
Hmm.
example, and again it goes into about how trampling on others, and he's alive because of other sacrifices.
Hmm.
I want to say Shisho, but Kazuma, whatever.
Yeah.
Kazuma is like reminds him, not everyone is going to reject you, and you believe that. And I like the line of like hope will always bloom again,
Mhm.
like hope will always come in the darkness kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that music there was so good.
I know.
Like
Yeah, the music was so beautiful. Is that new track for season 2 or was that in season 1? I feel like it's new for season 2.
I think it's new for season 2 because I remember they played it in the trailers for
Yeah.
season 2.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they had a few new tracks that were really good this season. I feel like the music got better this season.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But then the music builds up and Kyo's running to I guess he just knows that she's at the beach. I don't know.
Yeah. Where else is she? She's not at the house.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, okay, she's at the beach.
He knows, like, there's people out there that care about him. And that's when we get Kyo actually knows Kyoko in some way. Because it shows
Hmm.
Kyoko and Kyo as a little
And
kid.
they made some sort of promise. Ooh. Man's promise.
But it also shows Kyo looking at Toru as a little kid. And that's when he calls her my precious, like the title.
Oh, my precious Toru.
Yeah. And he's like, Toru, and she, like, notices him, and he has, like, like, where the chime hit him in the face. He has, like, a scratch or whatever on his face. And she's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, yeah, I got in a fight with Akito. And she's, like, freaking out. And, and
Yeah, she's like, what happened?
yeah.
Oh,
And
y'all were eating dinner together.
and then he's like, but then he smiles and he's like, it's okay. I don't care if I'm invited anymore. And he's just smiling, and I'm always happy when Kyo smiles.
But it's very much a bittersweet ending because of, his inner monologue at this point.
Yeah, then they start going back to the house, and how he says, like, he wants to be with her, but instead of wishing to, like, have her, he's just gonna wish to be with her for the time that he has left, pretty much.
Yeah, and it was so sad because he talks about how, he may have thought before that, I want to stay with her for the rest of my life, and now he's pretty much resigned because, the whole thing of, like, the cat can never beat the rat. Like, it's almost, like, predestined that he can't beat Yuki.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, I noticed, I watch a lot of reactions to this because I have no life, but I saw some reactions where I don't think people were reading the dialogue, that they weren't getting what he was saying. They're like, "Oh, yay, it's a happy ending." And I'm like, "I don't think you're reading what he's saying, dude." You know
Yeah, no,
what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was, like, happy as in, like, it was.
Yeah, but I think that some people didn't, because it was like two lines. I think they may have, like, not looked at them. It's happy now, and I'm like, it's not.
Yeah, but in the end, he just walks her back hand in hand, walks with her back hand in hand. So that part was cute,
No.
even though he's, like, saying bad stuff.
Yeah. She doesn't know. Like, she thinks everything's, like, she's probably concerned, but she's all like, "Oh, I'm sure everything's fine."
Yeah, I guess in a way, because he was, like, smiling when he got back and everything. So she probably was just like, everything's okay,
Hmm.
kind of feel. But yeah, that was episode 9,
Hmm.
and I personally was so happy because that was, like, one of my favorite chapters when I read it, just because I love Kyo so
No, it
much.
was so good. I feel like they definitely did it justice, adapting it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna cry, and I did.
Oh,
So.
I think that I cry a lot more. I don't think that I cry as much with stuff that I already know.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the only time, because I've been reading the manga,
Mhm.
and the only time I cried, I think, was like the very end,
Oh yeah.
reading it. But like when I read the first time, I was bawling my eyes out left and right.
And so I wasn't, like, bawling. It was just like tears.
Yeah, I think the only time I bawled when I read it, I think, was Momiji's
Oh my
story.
gosh, yeah. I recently have been rereading, like you have, and I read, like, the later part of Momiji's story, and I don't know why, I was just like, I was crying.
Yeah, it's so sad because it's very. I don't know. I've had nightmares kind of like Momiji's story, where like one day my mom is just like, "I don't love you anymore." Like that's a nightmare I've had, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's horrible. Poor
Oh
Momiji."
my, yeah. Ugh.
Like other characters.
And speaking of Momiji, we can go on to episode 10.
Yeah, nice segue.
Sure. Which is called "Who Are You?" And I don't know why, I always just kind of want to say it as, like, that one kid. It's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah. Who are you? I actually do that too. That's so funny.
Yes. We start out with they're gonna do fireworks. They have all this fireworks, and Momiji bought it.
Yeah, Hanabi.
So Yuki's like, I thought we would do it tomorrow night, and she's like, and Toru's like, why tomorrow? He's like, because that's like the last night we're gonna be here, and she's like, oh, like,
Yeah.
God.
It's crazy how much has really gone on.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, that's what she pretty much says. Like the next line,
Hmm.
so much has happened.
Yeah, it's like this is the longest arcs I think in the show because they have pretty short arcs and like the first like actual long one that we've had.
Um, but then Yuki says like, he wanted to make some good memories, like with the last day they had, and he was like, obviously because of our family like circumstances, you weren't with us as much. But then
Hmm.
she says, no, it was still fun. I got to hang out with you guys like when I did. It was really, and she was happy, and so that was really sweet.
Yeah, always grateful.
But then Hiro is like, "Oh, our anime's on and Mokita's on.
Yeah,
We gotta watch it." And
yeah,
so Kisa's like, "Momiji wanted to see it too." So Toru goes to get Momiji, and I thought it was so funny because Hiro's just like, "Dang it," because he wanted a
yeah,
Stoisa.
yeah. Oh my god, I hate him, but I love him. I mean, I don't hate him, but I'm like, oh, Hero, I hate you, but like in a good way. Hero, the way that before he was like in his episode, he's like, yeah, that's a stupid anime, and now he's like, he's so into it.
Yeah. So then Toru goes up. Kyo and Momiji are like in the hallway talking, so she like stops to hear like eavesdrop on them.
Hmm.
Pretty much Kyo, like kind of what you talked about already, where he realized that why they were giving in to Akito was mainly because trying to
Yeah,
protect Toru. Because if they did,
yeah.
Akito would get really angry.
As we learn later, it's not just like Akito also just has a hold on them.
Then Momiji makes the point of, you sound like we're doing a good thing, but he's like, he's actually been selfish because he wants to spend more time with Toru. And he's like, because I love Toru so much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. And
No, baby bunny,
and then Kyo
and like,
does like the side comment of like, oh, I'm selfish too. And he's like, what? He's like, nothing.
and I love the animation they did here of Toru crying, like little tears, and she wipes it off, and like she takes a deep breath, and then puts on a face like, oh hey guys, like she's all happy.
And then Momiji like pretty much does the same thing. He like gets his bunny ears and he's like, Toru.
Yeah, he was trying to mug me.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
And so they're like, let's go watch our anime. So they do. While they're watching the anime, like we kind of have Toru saying how like so many people like Kyo and Yuki have changed so much, and she's like, I want to do something. She doesn't know how, and I want to change. But so then we get Akito and Shigure in Akito's room. Shigure asks Akito like, why the heck did he bring a Kurano? And like
Hmm.
when he's not gonna be able to see anyone.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's out of sorts lately, and I'm like, bro, he in love.
Shigure's like, oh, he's probably stressed. And Akito's like, what do you mean by that? How is he stressed? I'm stressed.
Yeah, Akito, you're always stressed. Shut up.
Yeah. Shigure's all like, okay, what's wrong? And Akito brings up like Shigure's a problem and that he's not being kind enough to him. And Shigure,
Yeah.
I'm kind. And then Akito's like, you're not as kind as you used to be. And
Hmm.
we do get like a little flashback, but it's not that much of the flower that.
It's so fun to
But
watch as a manga reader. These anime onlys have no idea what's going on. Like they don't know. None of them know what's going on. Like I've seen their theories. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So fun to like be a manga reader and like watch this and know what's happening and like everything makes sense to us, but it's so cryptic to everybody else.
Yeah. But then Akito brings up a woman, like that woman, and almost like I don't know what he was gonna do to Shigure.
Yeah.
Kurono comes. It's like, oh, got a family call, and So Akito walks over to Kureno, and
And he's like, is Ren causing a commotion?
yeah, and I just want to tell people it's Rin, not Reen. There's difference.
Yeah, they are different people. Most people that I've seen, at least, have been like, oh, it's two different people. But I've seen a couple people get confused, and I make sure to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, like it'll all be sorted out eventually. Right? Even if understand, right now it's not as important. It's just kind of little tiny hints.
Yep. Akito goes into a room, changes, and kind of has like a mental breakdown and like keeps repeating about that woman. And like when Chrono comes to the room, like Akito's just gone. It's just like, oh boy.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think that in the context of the scene, it's very clear that Akito is talking about Ren. But I know that people get confused because they thought Ren was Ren, and they were like,
mm.
oh, that woman means Toru, but I'm pretty sure it means Ren. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it was definitely Ren.
Yeah, but I really like that because it just shows that Akito has some serious stuff going on in his head that's not just like,
Mm.
I'm just evil because I'm evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. So then we cut to Momiji, and he's just like looking at the fireworks, all excited. He starts to walk back to his room, and then he looks in the door and sees Akito.
Yeah. That's so scary. Imagine you're just walking by your door at night and you see Akito standing out there.
And people are like, "Lock your doors, turn off the lights."
Yeah. And he walks outside and everybody's like, no!
Yeah. But yeah, he goes out, and he's just like, "What are you doing here so late?" And Akito says that he wants to see Toru. And then we cut to Toru real quick, and she can't sleep. So she's like, I'm gonna go for a walk. And I remember in the manga it said like she was still thinking about like what she could do, like, and that's why she couldn't sleep. Because she, like, how she wanted to
Hmm.
change something. So she was just so worried,
Yeah.
like always.
Or maybe they were close for time and they had to cut it.
Yeah. It was just like,
She brings it up again later. They probably didn't like it wasn't as essential.
yeah. Momiji like says, "Oh, Toru's probably sleeping right now," and so Akito's like, "We'll wake her up."
Yeah. And Momiji says
And
no, and you're like, oh my
yeah,
god, Momiji. Proud of him, but also scared for him.
yeah, and but he does. I feel like Momiji's kind of like, even though I feel like he kind of was trying to do the right thing, because then he was just like, "What's wrong? Why are you angry?"
Yeah, and Momiji shows genuine concern for Akito, which I
Mm.
think it pisses Akito off. Like you're trying to act like you're on the same level as me,
Yeah,
just so like you can find my weakness and then you can look down on me and you can exploit me. And Akito has all these twisted ideas when Momiji really just was concerned about him and wanted to know why he was upset. And I really like that. I really like that scene, like just the line, Akito, why are you so mad? And as the audience, you're like, yeah, I mean, something's definitely going on in Akito's mind. Why is he so upset? You know?
So, but of course, like you said, Akito takes it the wrong way and just like punches Momiji. Oh my god.
No. It was so upsetting. I was like, no.
Yeah, and I like the way they kind of like did it like quickly and then like went on with it. Like it wasn't dragged out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I mean. Kind of similar to like the throwing stuff at Kyo. Like it feels very grounded in reality, and I think that's what makes it more impactful. Because it's like anime logic is like, oh well, that's nothing. Guys beat each other up half to death, but like they're fine. They can jump 50 feet in the air. But like you
yeah,
just this was real life. Would have been like you see somebody so small like Momiji get punched. You're like, oh no. And I think that they really captured that realism.
yeah. And they're like reactions I like too. Like after something drastic like that happens, like you see their faces like
Uh,
in shock. And but
hmm.
but then Toru comes in because she was on her walk, and it's like jumps in front of Momiji and is like telling Akito to stop. And Akito's like, I forget what Akito says. It's something like, "Oh, you're not so nice" or something. And it's like, "But I did have to tell you something." And like grabs Toru's like face.
No. It's like, let go of her.
Pretty much tells her like that she's like stop being full of it, and like that she's scum. and it's
No.
crazy.
Oh man, and Momi just looking
Yeah,
terrified in the
Mobiji's
background the
just
whole
standing
time.
there and doesn't know what to do. And Akito brings up like, "Oh, you think you saved Kyo and Yuki? I don't know, like get off your high horse, kind of." And
Hmm.
but then Akito reveals how Kyo will be confined after
You
graduation.
know, Toru's eyes just dilate like, oh crap.
I know.
When anime eyes get tiny, that's when you know something.
Yeah, it's either that or when they don't have eyes and all of a sudden they do. One of the two. But then also Akito also mentions how they'll be like they'll live and die with him in the estate, and
Hmm.
like it'll be an eternal banquet of happiness, and you're not invited.
Very much a callback to the first episode, the very first scene about the everlasting banquet that will continue on and on.
Yeah, Toru asks very good questions of like, is that really happiness?
Hmm.
And he kind of thinks about how everyone's been trying to move forward, and that's not going to help.
Just the way Akito genuinely uses this as happiness and calls it a blessing, while everybody else refers to it
Mm-hmm.
as a curse. Like the difference between Akito's mindset, thinking that, oh well, it's a good thing. It means we're all connected. We're all together, but doesn't realize that that can not just be a blessing but a curse.
Mm-hmm. And so, and Akito's does say like your values are weak and you're an outsider and
Yeah,
all
you
this
have
to,
no idea of the inner mechanisms of our family.
and then that's when Tori's like, then like who are you, like to the Zodiacs, and she starts thinking about the story.
Her
And
deductive skills, man, are smart.
yeah, and so she realizes it's God, like Akita's God to them, and
Yeah.
Akita pretty much says that he's like, yeah, I'm a master of their soul, pretty
Mm.
much. But before anything else, and then that's when like also like I forgot that Akita like scratched Toru, like
Yeah, I remember I had trouble reading the action stuff in Fruits Basket sometimes. I think it's because I wasn't paying enough attention to the pictures as much as I was reading the words. I remember I didn't even realize when Mobishi got punched until I saw his face all beat up afterwards. I don't know how that happened, but I remember I was like, I saw his face like in the scene later where he's like about to cry. I was like, whoa, wait, he got hit.
yeah, I always like I thought for the longest time like it was a slap because Akita always slaps people, but it was a punch. So I was like, I had to like look at that. I was like, oh yeah, it was a punch.
Yeah,
So
and you see like the blood too.
then Corino comes in and like, Akito, where have you been? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I had to go see Toru. And then Akito says how Corino's the rooster. So we finally got that confirmed. Then like Akito threatens Toru pretty much by saying like, be quiet about this or you'll be punished, pretty much, or
Hmm.
don't do anything that can ruin my plans, in a way.
Yeah.
And so they finally leave, and Toru like falls on her knees and like has to like think all this through about Akito being like their god. And then I liked how she like thought at the end how also Akito could be like chained down in a
Yeah,
way.
almost like the curse is not a good thing for anybody almost. And I noticed that something with the curse about, being bound together and it being this very abusive environment, but they can't leave it is very much, and I think a lot of Fruits Basket is about this, is a kind of a metaphor for an abusive family, like being a kid and like your parents are abusive or something.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in Japan, apparently, I've read that it's very, very hard to like get out of an abusive home. Almost like you're bound by a curse. Like you can't leave, you can't disobey. You just gotta endure it, and it becomes like a cycle. Like how the cycle of the zodiacs. New one is born when one dies. It's like a cycle of abuse and trauma.
Yeah, I can see that. It makes, and that's weird, but it makes me think of like other animes where that's really common. But
Hmm. Like, and we see in Fruits Basket that toxic families is a huge, huge part of it. Even in Fruits Basket, another like a lot of the story revolves around having like bad parents
mm-hmm.
or like thing like that. And I think that that's like a really, really huge theme in Fruits Basket.
Exactly.
I like how that theme ties back into the Zodiac Curse.
Yeah, that's true. Then Hattori and Shigure come, and Hattori is like was gonna fix her scratches on her face, but then Toru's like, "Where's Momiji? Is he okay?" And he's like, "Oh, he's over there." And then Momiji's there, and she runs up to Momiji, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he okay, so like I'm pretty sure he tried to say sorry, but then he just
Yeah.
starts crying, and
So sad. That
um,
whole like I remember that
uh,
panel was so powerful. Those panels with him, they really captured it so
mhm.
beautifully. Like the dead look in his eye and like how sad he is that he couldn't have done more.
Yeah. And so she's like hugs him and he transforms to a bunny, which I almost forgot again that he does that. But
Yeah,
but then we get Haru and Kyo and Yuki are in like the room like looking through the window or the door, and Haru's like holding back Kyo because they really wanted to do something but they couldn't, and Kyo like gets so mad at himself
mm.
that he couldn't do anything.
Yeah. There's a subtitle error here too.
Yep. That's next where Kyo walks away after he's like, "Oh, I'm so mad I could puke." That's what he says, and Yuki's like, um, "Oh, even he's supposed to be he, but he said she, and there was just a subtitle error." But yeah, he's like, "Yo,
Yeah,
oh, even he gets disgusted by
there's been a lot
himself."
of those errors
Um,
lately.
yeah, I remember I was literally looking at the manga and watching the anime at the same time just because, and I was like, "Wait, what?" When that part happened.
And even like the funny stuff, like how the episode was just called Dog the other day or the other week.
Yeah.
So like
Uh,
I'm sure that it's because of stuff that's going on right now. Like it's hard for them, but it's just kind of funny.
but then they go in, or Haru brings up the point of protecting others is very hard to do. And we have Yuki kind of think of Ren there,
I kind
and
of
he
like
kind of
have an
just
idea of like maybe what she's doing.
and um. So then also Toru, when Momiji's sleeping, she starts thinking about how she wants to protect them as well.
Hmm.
And then finally they wake up and they get to do, like I guess it's the next day at night they get to do fireworks.
Yeah.
They're like, it's not dark yet, but we're still gonna do it, says
Hmm.
Luigi or something like that. And I'm like, that's me though. I'm
Yeah,
like, it's
he's like
dark
so
enough.
excited despite what happened the other night.
And then Hiro does ask like why they're injured because they're both like injured on their cheek, and Tori just says, "Oh, like I fell down," and Momiji and Tori are like, "Yeah, that's what happened," and
Hmm.
then Momiji does the cute like he says, "Oh, we're like bees in a pod,"
Yeah.
and they're like peas.
Like their little moment they shared too, where they put like their foreheads against each other, like they're connected.
Yeah, it was cute. But then like Momiji's like, I know which firework I want to do first, and it's like this really weird like
Yeah.
snake.
Yeah, I know people who have done those ones too.
And so they're like, what? They're all like, what is this? But
Yeah. It's like poop. I don't like it.
yeah, Kyo's like, okay, that's weird. And then Toru asks him if he ever like played with fireworks, and he was like, yeah, his master showed him when he was little because he'd never seen them before, so he got to play with them with his master. And then Kyo asks her about if she got to play with them when she was with her mom, and she's like, oh yeah,
He's like encouraging her to talk about her mom. Like he's very mindful of her. It's so sweet.
yeah. But then we have Haru, and he's like, "How do you do this?" And Yuki's like reading the instructions, and it says like not to aim at buildings or people, and it's like he's aiming at Kyo, and Kyo's like,
I know. I love the Haru and Kyo dynamic, and even like Momiji and Kyo. I love any dynamic where people are just teasing Kyo. It's so funny.
He's like, "Okay, Kyo, you can dodge it," and they had the little warning on the bottom that was like, "Don't try this at home,"
Yeah, that was so funny.
and at the fireworks, and then after that, the Yuki comes up to Toru with the sparkler, and Toru has the thought of like how Kyo master didn't like show him fireworks just for him to be confined, and how Yuki hasn't been
Hmm.
fighting to move forward just to go back to the Soma state, which I thought was good points. That's when she kind of finally like decides she wants to break the curse. Like she finally says like, I gotta break this thing.
And it's crazy how like at this point it's like we never even considered that.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think I'd considered her breaking the curse when I was reading the manga until this point. I don't think I've seen anybody like theorize that she would break the curse at all.
Hmm.
I just assumed that they're gonna keep living the curse,
I
you
mean, when
know?
I finished the first like original anime, at the end, I was like, so they still cursed? So I mean, so I kind of thought like, what? But so yeah, I figured that's the whole idea. But
I didn't think about that. I had small brain then. Yeah, but I like that we finally get like a very big like plot type thing.
yeah, and but Yuki and her go sit on the stairs and with their sparklers, and he mentions how this is like the first time the Zodiacs have got together and got to like kind of hang out like this, and how it's very important time for him to be like there with Toru.
Yeah, I like that. I like the whole thing about how no summer is exactly alike and how this is such a
Yeah.
special time because it's really good at like I don't know wrapping it up and like I don't know it made me kind of feel sad like yeah this is the only summer that they'll have that's going to be like this and a lot of stuff happened you know I don't know I really like
Mm-hmm.
that.
No, I could relate to that. Like more like when I was in school and stuff, I'd just be like, "Oh, this is like when I was in high school. But this is the
Yeah,
last summer of we can be
like
together." Yeah, kind
like the last when you're in your senior year and it's like the last day of school.
yeah. But then Momiji comes up and sits with them and calls Kyo over, and Kyo's like, "No, you guys can play with them. You're annoying." And then Yuki's like, "Oh, do you want my seat, stupid cat?" And that makes
No,
him come.
he's just doing his own way to get Kyo to come over.
Yeah, it was so funny. And then or not Kyo, Toru kind of just re-says how she really wants to like do everything in her power to protect them and let them have like their choice in life, like what
Yeah.
to do.
I really loved I thought it was so beautiful ending on the fireworks. Like
Mm-hmm.
um I also just really liked the whole fireworks scene because it was so nostalgic for me because I used to do that on like the 4th of July with my uncle and my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And even the little fireworks at the end, how they look like, you know, the ones in the sky, but they were much lower and like smaller. We
Mm-hmm.
had those too, and it was like I don't know, it was very nostalgic, very summer feeling.
Yeah. So that was that episode. Yay. I don't, what did you think about that episode?
I don't know. I think that it's a beautiful way to wrap up the whole arc. I thought the ending scene was really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Thanks everyone for joining us. Hope you guys can come to our next Fruits Basket podcast. We'll be doing episode 11 and 12. And yeah, see you then. Bye.